Let's find a good old podcast. Drive through, no. Something to wrestle, no. Insight, no. Rasslin Report? What is this?
Hello, I would like to take you on a journey into the world of professional wrestling. This is the Rasslin Report. Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Rasslin Report, where I talk nothing but my passion, and that's wrestling. I'm your host, John Ale, and I'd like to thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Monday morning, Monday evening, however and whenever you are listening. Wow. There's a lot to talk about, and there's a big set of matches that were announced for Wrestlemania. Which is turning out to be a pretty stacked card. Despite what many people thought wasn't going to be such, it's turning out to be, on paper, one of the best WrestleManias of the last, 5 years. On paper. This has not conceptualized into matches or anything of the sort. So once WrestleMania officially happens, then I'll be able to make my judgments based on. But I'm calling it right now. It's going to be one of the better WrestleManias of the last 5 years. Just based on the card. I think it's just got potential. It's got so much potential. I'll get into it all. There's been some matches that have been announced. So I'm excited. I can't help but be excited. There was a part of Friday Night SmackDown that I really didn't enjoy, but we'll get into that later because, man, I think that when you have your hottest feud between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, you've got to sell this home, especially when Cody Rhodes is coming back. We'll get into it. But overall, I think both shows have delivered. I think we've once again gotten a step closer to WrestleMania in a meaningful way. I think things have happened that have shaken the landscape, and I'm excited to see where we go next week. And tune in for next week. That's their goal. Their goal every week is to try to get you to watch the next one. So that being said, I'll go ahead and get into the highlights of Monday Night Raw this week. And I think the main thing that I want to start with is Brock Lesnar and Obafemi. That saga between the Beast and the Ruler seems to be kicking up a notch. Brock Lesnar obviously was utterly embarrassed by what happened the week before when he was powerbombed by Obafemi. So Paul Heyman, his advocate, comes out and he's challenging Obafemi to get out here and fight him because Brock Lesnar's taking on John Cena, The Undertaker, he names off your who's who of legends. Brock Lesnar really has fought them all, and he really has defeated them all. So Paul Heyman's really saying that Obafemi doesn't have a chance, and that Brock Lesnar is still Brock Lesnar. At the end of the day, he's going to embarrass the rookie on the grandest stage of the grandest stage of them all, the overhyped rookie, the blah blah blah. And Oba's heard enough, and the aura that this man generates from the crowd is incredible. He's walking out to the ring, and he throws Brock Lesnar right out of it and shows dominance once more. And he's just staring at Brock all the way out. All the way on his way out, Brock's laughing because it's more like a nervous laugh, I think. I feel like Brock's finally nervous about a challenger. Usually we see Brock confident, stoic almost. But in this moment, he's running away. He sees the challenge that is presented to him by Obafemi, probably his biggest, and he's just shocked. He's just amazed at this man. And I am too. I can see this thing being the career-making moment for Obafemi. If They go to WrestleMania, which I guess is set in stone. Obafemi, if he does end up defeating Brock Lesnar, I don't know why they would have Brock Lesnar win here, especially if he's on his retirement run, where he's got, I don't know, maybe another 2 matches in him. His schedule's not going to be the same as John Cena, where he's working um, all year round. I think his end game is SummerSlam, so it cuts the window even shorter. I think we only get a few months of Brock Lesnar. So the point is, he's got very few matches. And so him and Obafemi at WrestleMania is going to be the big one of the big ones. And so this is the moment where you make a star. This is the moment where you send Obafemi into superstardom. After WrestleMania, if he can beat Brock Lesnar, I would say you could throw him right into the world title picture. Have him fight Roman Reigns or CM Punk, whoever walks out of that thing, world heavyweight champion. Just throw him right in. I think he's ready. I mean, I don't think he needs to prove anything. I mean, Obafemi is that guy. He really is that guy. And WWE sees so much in him, and we all know what he brings to the table. So, I'm all for Obafemi all the way. But then we had Becky Lynch and AJ Lee basically set up their match for WrestleMania as well. For the Intercontinental Championship, the Women's Intercontinental Championship. This was inevitable. It's been rumored for months that these two were going to have a match at WrestleMania. We didn't know how we were going to get there, but here we are. These two set up the match. Becky Lynch comes out. She's sick and tired of AJ Lee holding the title she made prestigious. She claims that AJ stole her title at the Elimination Chamber when she won it, and claims that Becky herself murdered the Divas era, where AJ says she helped build it. So, and AJ's trying to bring empowerment to the Divas era, what the Divas era was and what it brought to the table. Becky says she just murdered it and just said, stomped all over the past and the women that were a part of that and wanted to be, headstrong in the women's revolution, which, I mean, I'm glad about it, but, it's like a tale of two eras, both wanting the same things, but different forces held them back, right? So it's a tale of two eras, tale of two stories, and it's ultimately that's like the broad grasp of this Becky Lynch and AJ Lee saga. It's two women who were at the best of their games at their points in time, and now they get to collide. So this is one of those moments where who's going to truly be the best? They've already fought at the Elimination Chamber. They've already fought at WrestlePalooza, but I would imagine this is going to be the rubber match, the one that ends it all, the one that gets a definitive winner of the saga and a clear breakaway to move on to something else. I can imagine that this will be the match that ends it. So this will be absolutely great. I imagine these two ladies will kill it. WrestleMania always gives those matches a bigger vibe. I don't mind Becky Lynch and AJ Lee being on the WrestleMania card. I don't. I know I saw it at the Chamber, and I know I saw it at WrestlePalooza, but the fact that this sounds like it's going to be the final match between the two in this saga, I'm willing to tune in to see who will come out victorious. I imagine it'll be AJ Lee, but you never know. You never know. And then we get to a crazy, crazy, crazy point in Monday Night Raw where Seth Rollins ends up getting arrested, quote unquote, by police. But this is a really cool little bit. And it drives into just how far Seth is willing to go, I guess, to pursue his desire to end Paul Heyman. He stomps him out again, beats him up, and he's arrested again by security, or not security, by police. And I don't know where this goes, to be honest with you, because like now that there's nobody in the vision that's available right now to step up to Seth Rollins, I don't think you have Austin Theory and Logan Paul take on Seth Rollins. You wanted one of the big hitters. You wanted either Braun Breaker or Bronson Reed to challenge him. It was probably going to be Braun Breaker. And maybe that could still be. I really don't know. But with a return as big as Seth Rollins is, you would hope that there's some sort of WrestleMania payoff. So I'm hoping that with this arrest, maybe we'll start to piece together what exactly is going to be the road for Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Because there's going to be something for him, and I don't know what it'll be, but I'll definitely be keeping my eyes peeled on it. But I think this is super entertaining. Seth Rollins is doing the best stuff right now that he's done in a while. Just absolutely getting under Paul Heyman's skin and getting in his head, which is something not a lot of guys have been able to do and manage. But Seth Rollins is doing a good job, and so I hope that there is some good payoff for him at WrestleMania. I just don't know who, considering the vision is as depleted as it used to be. It didn't used to be all this bad, so I'll be definitely keeping my eye out. And we had the return of Finn Balor. If you don't remember, Finn Balor did get viciously betrayed and attacked by the Judgment Day just about a few weeks ago in my episode about betrayal. And so Finn is obviously upset about this. He's been brewing over it for weeks, how he was going to get his revenge. And so he picks the perfect opportunity. Dominic Mysterio got an opportunity at Penta's Intercontinental Championship, the men's version. And Dominic lost the title to Penta, so he wants his title back. So this match means a lot to Dominic Mysterio, and Finn Balor knows this in the back of his head. So as this match is going on, we see JD McDonough try to get involved and try to screw Penta. But we hear an all too familiar tune as Finn Balor does make his way out to the ring, and I mean, he lays out everybody. This guy's full of piss, vinegar, and rage. He is not having any of it. And so he stomps out JD McDonough with a coup de grace, and then takes this thing over, helps Penta win and retain the Intercontinental Championship. So Finn Balor now has screwed Dominic Mysterio, and Dominic Mysterio has now betrayed Finn Balor. So what do we do here? Both parties are clearly upset at one another, and both parties have now done something to detrimentally impact the other. So now I feel like eventually, in the upcoming week or so, Nick Aldis will probably propose a match at WrestleMania between Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. My hope, and I think this would add 10 times the weight to the match, is if Finn Balor says to Dominic, look, you and me are going to fight at WrestleMania, and if I beat you, you have to disband the Judgment Day forever. I would say you put the Judgment Day group, everything about it on the line. If Finn Balor's goal here in the next few weeks, once we start hearing his reasonings, if his goal is not to end the Judgment Day, then I don't know what he's doing. So at the end of the day, I feel like to add some weight, to add some stakes, to make that match 10 times more important than you could make it, is by putting the Judgment Day stable on the line. If you hear that ambulance, I'm sorry, I can't control that. Here's my thing. If you have Finn Balor come back, you've got to have it mean something. And it's got to have some sort of emotional payoff. And I believe that if you disband the Judgment Day, it could lead to a multitude of different opportunities for the members involved. Look at Liv Morgan. She's already a star. She doesn't need the Judgment Day. The Judgment Day doesn't need her. Raquel Rodriguez, I mean, she could use a disbanding from Liv at some point. But for right now, they're fine being besties. But Dominic, I think Dominic needs to end up becoming a babyface. I think this match at WrestleMania with Finn Balor needs to humble him enough to where maybe he comes back as a babyface. And that's what I mean about sending all these characters out in different directions and seeing where you can go with it. Because let's just be honest, I don't know if we can do another year of Judgment Day. Maybe we can, but it's hard enough when you got rid of Damian and Rhea. And it's even harder when you get rid of Finn. So now Dominic and Liv are your leaders, and that's not a bad thing, I guess, but it can only go for so long, right? And who's gonna who's gonna betray Dominic and take over the Judgment Day after that? Like, the members are fleeting. And so I just feel like at the end of the day, this could boost Finn Balor up tenfold and bring him right back into that world title picture potentially if he were to be able to be the guy to end the Judgment Day for good. I think it would be a very telling story and something that would fit in WrestleMania perfectly like a glove. But that's my opinion. That's my opinion. That's why I want to be a creative writer. Because I want to bring up things like this. I want to bring up the scenarios, things we could take the story. That's got so much potential to be great. Um, has so much potential to be an epic conclusion to a saga that has been since like 2022, I think. The Judgment Day's been around for a long time. And I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like it's time to put an end to it all. You know what I mean? I feel like it's time to put an end to Judgment Day. Once and for all. Judgment Day turmoil time. I'm feeling it. But then we get to the meat of our story of Monday Night Raw, the meat of the night, and that was a CM Punk and Roman Reigns segment. CM Punk was coming out talking shit. The Usos come out, or not the Usos, but Jay comes out, and he's just tired of CM Punk talking mess about Roman and his family, and he wants to have a fight right here now. But Jimmy, his twins, trying to like calm him down, trying to tell him, "Hey man, look, Punk and Roman are gonna fight at WrestleMania. This is our cousins' battle to fight. We can take on worthy tag teams for our tag team championships." And Jay's not having none of it. He is blind with rage, and he's ready to go after Punk. And this is the kind of Jey Uso that I freaking love. And I think most fans could agree with you, or most fans could agree with me, that Jey Uso, when he is determined, when he is upset, when he is angry, he is at his best. When he's not yeeting and joking around every 5 minutes, and when he can actually cut a serious promo, you can tell the emotion, you can feel the emotion. That's what we want to have out of Jay. And I'm loving what they're doing with Jay right now. I'm loving that he's kind of a tweener at this moment. We don't know if he's a heel or a babyface. He shows signs of both. And I think that's where he needs to stay. That's the sweet spot right now. But anyway, so Roman Reigns eventually comes out. And so now the family tree is back together. The original bloodline. Roman and his cousins, Jimmy and Jay. And so, kind of, this proves Punk's point that does Roman need backup every time they have a face-to-face confrontation? But, Roman's not here to talk this time. Roman's not here to talk this week. He just beats the absolute piss out of CM Punk, and the Usos help him out. They're slamming him into the post. They're throwing him into tables. But Punk's like laughing it off, like, I'm not the one who needs help. In like absolute pain. He's like, oh, like, dude, that's such a cold line. Being put through a table and then continuing to say that Roman needs help. It's like such a cold line. And again, maybe it proves Punk's point. But Roman Reigns looks super, super, super strong here. Going back to last week, I was thinking that Roman Reigns has the momentum going into WrestleMania because I don't really know who's going to win at WrestleMania between these two. I feel like it's a seesaw battle every week. And I feel like this week, Punk was on the other side of the seesaw. I feel like Punk was able to get Roman Reigns to prove his point about needing help. If Roman Reigns wanted to beat his ass and throw him into a post and throw him through a table, he could have done it on his own. He didn't need the two brothers out there with him. He didn't. But he had them out there, and they helped him. So at the end of the day, man, I feel like the momentum is shifting more towards Punk now. And given how the next few weeks will go before WrestleMania, it's like 2 or 3, I think, then we'll finally figure out who has more of an edge. Because right now, I really couldn't tell you with confidence who will end up winning the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania. So, that's when you know that peak storytelling is being told, because I don't know where this will go. And I think that's when you can get it right. When you don't know where it'll go, but it wants to leave you on edge to go figure out who ends up winning and what ends up happening. It's classic. So overall, I think Raw delivered, and I think we delivered on what we needed to do. I think I'm intrigued for what's going to go on for the main feuds and the main storylines that are going on over there. So it's perfectly what we need. Moving on to SmackDown. We got Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu. I mean, this thing has gotten out of control. These two have been brawling for weeks, throwing each other off stages, costing WWE championships, being put through tables. This thing has gotten chaotic, and both men are so over each other and want to end each other. They make it clear to each other in the ring, and Nick Aldis comes out and is absolutely tired of having to play referee and police for these two every single week. So he's going to set up a match between the two at WrestleMania. One where the company will not be liably responsible for what happens between the two during the match. So WWE makes Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre official for WrestleMania in an unsanctioned match. So that should be cinema. I can't wait to see these two absolutely beat the piss out of one another. It's gonna cook. I can't imagine that they're not gonna tear the house down. They got really personal about it. They've gotten so personal about it. Drew McIntyre's brought up Jacob Fatu's arrest history and the fact that, Jacob Fatu's trying to feed his kids and Drew's trying to take that away from him, and Drew's saying, screw your kids. Like, holy shit, dude. Jacob Fatu, if he doesn't end Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, I don't know. But Drew loves to stir that pot. He loves to stir that pot. He always has. Always has. So this has the potential to be incredible right here. But another big development, the Carmelo Hayes United States Open Challenge has come to an end. That is right. We have a new United States champion, and his name is Sami Zayn. In a crazy, crazy good match between these two, Sami Zayn captured the United States Championship. Even though Trick Williams was ringside trying to bother Sami the whole time, Sami eventually handles Trick Williams and is able to beat Carmelo Hayes here. So not only am I happy to see that Sami Zayn has won a title again, because it makes sense, now I question what his role at WrestleMania will be. Because I think a lot of people were hoping for a Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams revisit for WrestleMania for the United States title, kind of like a revisit of their feud in NXT, but I feel like we can do that at any other point. Those two are going to have a damn decade to build that back up. So that's inevitable. Trick and Mello will eventually get their main roster feud in. But I feel like what we're doing potentially is setting up for Sami Zayn, I guess, moving up to a world title spot. Once he loses this United States title, whatever that is. My prediction is it'll end up being a triple threat match at WrestleMania between Sami Zayn, Carmelo Hayes, and Trick Williams. I think that'll be a triple threat, and I think somehow, some way, Sami Zayn will be involved in the outcome. I think Trick Williams ends up becoming United States champion at WrestleMania after that triple threat. And that's how Sami loses it. And I think that's how he turns heel. I don't know. Again, this is if I were booking WrestleMania and beyond. If you want to have the moments for WrestleMania, because WrestleMania is all about moments. I don't know. Just think about it. But I'm overall happy for Sami Zayn. I'm glad he's won a United States title. Carmelo Hayes will absolutely be okay. He'll bounce back. I don't know how, don't know what they'll do, but he will. He's good enough to where he will. Right? He's a future. He's a future. So then we get to Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill, and Rhea Ripley is quite amazed that B-Fab and Meechin would stoop so low as to align themselves with Jade Cargill, stoop to Jade Cargill's level of always needing somebody, always needing some help, never getting into a fight when she's been called upon to do so. And so Rhea Ripley is so done. Every week she's had to deal with this shit. And I don't blame her. I don't blame her. And eventually, B-Fab, Meechin, and Jade Cargill make their way out. And B-Fab challenges Rhea Ripley. I love me some Rhea Ripley, and so I know she was going to absolutely wipe B-Fab in this match. She did. However, the ultimate point of this match, the point of that segment, was to boost Jade Cargill. And that's to prove Rhea Ripley's point, that all Meechin and B-Fab are there for is to bump Rhea Ripley, bump Jade Cargill up and make her look better. So that's what they did. Jade Cargill hits a Jaded on Rhea Ripley in the ring, and they stand tall for the second straight week. I don't really know where this feud is going, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I guess Meechin and B-Fab add something to it, right? They do. They add some depth, but I feel like they kind of say the same shit every week. Like every week, I feel like there's at least something with the other feuds that progress it or take it a step further. I feel like we've just hit one way. We're stuck in that one way, and I don't know. I think we just need a brawl. We need a brawl. We need a really big breakup brawl. Because this thing is just lacking in that regard. Jade's not willing to get herself physically involved at all. There's never a point where these two are mad enough to the point where they need to fight. They're willing to not fight each other until WrestleMania. Rhea's been screwed twice. What's she gonna keep doing? Keep calling them out and hoping that they'll accept her challenge? No, start beating her ass. Like I'm saying next week on SmackDown, beat Jade's ass. Beat her up. Take the reign for yourself and make it happen. Something's gotta zap this feud to life, man. Cause I just feel like you could pull a million other feuds from the past and say it's the same kind of thing. This thing's gotta be different. This thing's gotta stand out. So I don't know what they're gonna do. But something's gotta be done. But then we cut to the main event of SmackDown, the most important, I guess, part of SmackDown because it closed the show, as returning Cody Rhodes. This all started when Randy Orton was boasting about being the 15-time world champion. Now he wants to be a 15-time world champion. Yeah, Matt Cardona came out, challenged Randy Orton to a match tonight after attacking his arm. I guess he didn't break his arm. I guess his arm is fine. But we find out it won't be because later on in the match, Randy Orton, of course, accepted this challenge. He wanted this challenge. And so they had a match, but Randy Orton kind of just took this thing over. And he was bending Cardona's arm in such a way that reminded me of his 2020 days, where he would do some freaky stuff with Jeff Hardy's ear. And anyway, when Randy Orton's a heel, he will make sure that torture is the only method he can use in a match. Heel Randy Orton is sadistic. Heel Randy Orton is Satan himself, as CM Punk would call himself. But, bro, we all know that once Randy Orton hears those voices and it starts to act on him, it's over. So, Cody comes out. And this is where I have a problem with this thing. So, Randy Orton beats Matt Cardona pretty handily, gets the win. Cody Rhodes takes about 10 minutes to walk his way out to the ring. So by the time he gets out to the ring, the reaction's dead. Like, everyone got excited when he first came out the car, like, oh my god, it's Cody Rhodes, he's back. He's ready to beat him up. And then it takes him 10 minutes to walk all the way out to the ring. He's dabbing up Jelly Roll. He's fucking talking. He's making sandwiches. My guy's doing everything but walking his way out to the ring quick enough. And so by the time Cody Rhodes gets out there and him and Randy are going, it already took 10 minutes for us to get there. And then once we finally got there, these two, I swear to God, you'd have to watch this brawl. These two move in slow motion. I cannot believe how weird of a brawl this was. I've never seen this type of a, like, it just felt so slow. I don't know who produced it. I don't know what the thought was. I don't know. But it just felt so bad. It felt so bad. It felt like I had too much time. And oh my god, man. I don't know. That was really tough. You'd have to watch it back. But they're fighting in slow motion. Randy Orton's still wearing the shirt that's clearly got red blood on it still. If they were trying to sell the fact that it was real blood, they've clearly failed, because it's blood would have been dried up and brown at this point, and it's still bright ass red on his shirt. You know what I mean? Like, let's ditch the shirt. Let's ditch the RKO shirt and act like it's still Cody Rhodes' blood. Okay, let's move on from that. It's just this can recover because both guys are good enough. Now that Cody's here, this thing's gonna go. I'm just saying, Randy's got to take the shirt off, okay? Because no one's convinced that is Cody Rhodes' real blood. No one is convinced of that by just basic anatomy, just by basic fact. That blood does not look like that. Still, it doesn't. It's brown. It gets brown. Anyway, I'm glad Cody's back. I think the feud's going to be kicked up tenfold. I just don't like how it was done. So I hope that he can rebound next week for that. But ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special edition of our favorite segment, my favorite segment. So without further ado, News Break!
Ooh, it's the Rasslin Report. News break time, yeah!
Alright, so what I meant by special edition of my news break is that we have a lot of different Hall of Fame inductions that occurred over the span of like 10 days. And I guess I forgot to cover one on the last week's episode, so I'll cover it in this week's episode. So, before I get to the Hall of Fame wing of the news break, I'll just go ahead and kick off with a potential Nikki Bella injury. This comes out of Mike Johnson from PW Insider, and it says, and I quote, "For those who have asked about WWE Hall of Famer Nikki Bella, she went to the floor and didn't return during a Brawl on SmackDown. PW Insider is told that she suffered an ankle injury. The belief among those who we spoke with is that Bella rolled her left ankle during an exchange with Charlotte Flair. She was checked out backstage after the segment, but we have not heard about the severity of the issue." I do think that's important to note, because there was a point where we had Lyra, Valkyria, Bayley, Charlotte, and Brie Bella in the ring, but we didn't have Nikki in the ring. Sometimes that can happen. They try to hide. I think they try to hide the wrestler from the camera so that the fan, the average casual viewer, doesn't see what's going on. They're trying to attend to the person and their injury. But we don't know for sure if it's a legit injury. We don't know about the severity of the injury. It just looks like she was being checked up on during that segment. during their tag team match with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. So let's hope that Nikki's all right. I never want to wish injury on nobody. I want to see the Bellas. The Bellas are just starting to go in the ring again. You know what I mean? So I don't want to see that for them. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will be officially named a Disney legend this August at the company's annual D23 fan event in Anaheim, California, the weekend of August the 14th. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Wow. Johnson was named part of the 2026 class on March 26th. Disney Legend distinction is the highest honor given by the company, with Johnson being named in the film and voice categories. So I would assume it's for his work in Moana, which is fine. I think Moana is a great movie. I think Moana 2 is a great movie. I think that he did great in that. So is it worth Disney's approval? I guess so, right? Moana, it was classic for plenty of people. And so good for him, right? I feel like it's one of the roles that he's had in his Hollywood career that's solid, right? That's not just some silly gimmick like the Tooth Fairy or something like that, like it's a genuinely good role that he embodied and played perfectly. So nothing wrong with that. Can't argue that, I guess. But for now we'll get into our Hall of Fame wing. Just feel the Hall of Fame. Just feel it. You can feel the air in this class. This is such a good class this year. But we'll start off with the most recent induction, and I believe it was Bad News Brown. He will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as a legacy inductee. Usually the legacy wing is like they group a bunch of wrestlers together, and I think Bad News Brown is probably going to be the headliner of the legacy wing. And he was a solid guy in the 80s. I mean, he was a really good heel in the 80s, a good foil to Hulk Hogan, because Hulk Hogan was always going to be the guy of the 80s, and you needed good heels. So Bad News Brown was a good heel. I remember watching some tape of him. He definitely deserves it. And it's a shame that he isn't alive today to accept it, but his contributions to the business are there. But then it was announced by ESPN. This is the one that I missed. It was announced by ESPN that Dennis Rodman will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. He's a 5-time NBA champion, key member of the iconic Detroit Pistons and Chicago Bulls teams. Hell yeah. Rodman took over sports page headlines when he aligned with the New World Order in WCW in 1997. Known as Rodzilla, he teamed up with Hulk Hogan to face Lex Luger and the Giant, aka The Big Show, aka Paul White, in the highly publicized main event of WCW Bash at the Beach. Oh, who could forget that? Very nice. I'm not mad at that one. That's your celebrity wing. That's the people who are celebrities that find their way into the Hall of Fame. There's one person in particular in the Hall of Fame, in the celebrity wing, who I won't mention on this podcast because frankly he doesn't deserve my breath. But I think it's a silly-ish wing that needs just some revision. Because I just think there's people in there who don't necessarily need to be on that list. But Dennis Rodman, I think, is more than worthy. And then our final member of the Hall of Fame wing, in my mind, he should have been inducted a long time ago. I actually thought he was inducted a long time ago. Former WWE champion Psycho Sid will be inducted this year in the Hall of Fame. He should have been inducted a long time ago. He should have been inducted when he was still alive to be able to take it. I get we have a bunch of It's time, bunch of slots, bunch of years, but I don't know. You want to try and give these people the awards while they're alive to take them. That's why Bruno Sammartino, God rest his soul, was able to get the Hall of Fame ring before he passed. You want to try your best to give these awards to these people while they're alive to take them. And I know that sometimes you can't control that. I understand. But, more often than not, I think we want to try and aim for that. But I'm glad he's getting in nonetheless. I'm not getting on the company for that. I just think maybe they could have fit him in a few years ago over someone else. Like the Great Khali. Like, did the Great Khali need to be inducted into the Hall of Fame over this guy? I don't know, man. That's my point, essentially. Is that while there are slots, limited slots, I think he should have gotten a slot way sooner than he did. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll close out my Hall of Fame wing here, and I'll go ahead and close off my Wrestlemania build-up. We are getting closer and closer, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank you all for another episode of Rasslin Report, and I'll catch you next week, baby. Woo!